Hey, how's it going guys? It's Nate here. And Skyrim is getting to be a fairly old game. Dare I say the Elder Scrolls V is becoming a tad elder. Huh? See what I did there? Anyway, despite Skyrim approaching her 8th birthday quite rapidly, the game still boasts a rich amount of content, with an infinite number of people to meet, things to do, and dragons to slay. Indeed, this RPG is such a large one that even all this time later, most Ovakins still have quite a bit to learn about the world they're destined to save. So, kick back, pop open a bottle of any beverage but milk, and relax, as we explore yet another 10 tiny details you may still have missed in The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Part 47. Starting off, as a reward for completing Periite's Daedric quest, the only cure, the Dragonborn will receive a unique artifact from the god, Spellbreaker, a heavy shield with a custom model and texture that has the special ability to create a magical ward that protects against spells when blocking. So it's effectively a shield that blocks against both physical and magical attacks. Pretty neat, and one of my favorite quest rewards. Well, if the player has this puppy equipped and approaches a guard, you'll find that they evidently appreciate it too, as Skyrim's protectors may say some unique dialogue relating to it.
Your shield, dwarf make, is it not? But yet it seems so much more.
Ah, now that's a fine shield. And not mere dwarven, is it?
Next on our list, Carlotta Valentia is a single mother and merchant living in Whiterun with her daughter Mila. Raising a child alone and managing a market stall at the same time is a tough gig, but somehow she manages to make do, and overall seems to be a very respectable character. Carlotta will offer the Dragonborn a brief quest to convince Mikael, a bard who's been consistently hitting on her, to knock it off, which you can do by either passing a speech check or hitting on Mikael in a different fashion, if you get what I'm saying. Anyway, Bethesda never explicitly states whatever happened to Mila Valentia's father. After having a kid with Carlotta, did he just run off or something? Well, while Skyrim never blatantly spells out what happened, the game does leave us with some interesting clues. Allow me to introduce you to a flower known as Nightshade. Many are probably already somewhat familiar with this plant, but in case you're not, it's a rare alchemical ingredient that's closely been associated with death throughout the Elder Scrolls franchise. It most commonly grows near graveyards, dead bodies, and places people have died. Some suspect that the vegetation grows largely in thanks to energy passed on by souls, though that's all but confirmed. What's intriguing is that just outside of Carlotta Valentia's house, we can find none other than 2 Nightshade plants, the only place it grows in the entire city of Whiterun, suggesting that Mila Valentia's father and Carlotta's ex-significant other passed away, and possibly may even be buried nearby the home. Of course, this isn't 100% confirmation, but considering the rarity of Nightshade and its context, I'd bet this isn't a coincidence. Coming in at number 3, we take a trip to Bleak Falls Barrow, a location that's almost always among the first dungeons we visit when starting a new playthrough, as it's the first we're sent to during the main questline, and where we find the Golden Claw. Speaking of that claw, when we first arrive, the artifact will be in the possession of a mischievous dark elf named Arvel the Swift, who will himself be in the possession of a giant frostbite spider, who's imprisoned him inside of a web. We'll have to defeat the beast in combat and cut down Arvel in order to get him to hand over the claw, which he won't do willingly, so we'll also have to murder him to death. However, what you may not have known is that you can indeed free Arvel without facing off against the spider. Should you manage to successfully sneak past it undetected, some unique, otherwise hidden dialogue on Arvel's part can be heard. Take a listen.
What? Who are you? Oh, never mind. Cut me down before that thing gets us.
For 4th spot, Windhelm is Skyrim's oldest city. Built shortly after Ysgramor's conquest of the region thousands of years ago in the Merethic era, to say she stood the test of time would be quite the understatement. Now the capital of Eastmarch and center of the Stormcloak Uprising, she's filled with all sorts of things you can't find anywhere else. A monument that lists the names of every single one of Ysgramor's 500, ancient tombstones dedicated to some of Skyrim's first kings, and even a wall that bleeds. Wait, what? Yep, believe it or not, that's correct. One of the walls on the eastern side of the Palace of Kings, for whatever reason, bleeds when you hit certain parts of the structure. I'm not even going to try to pretend that this makes any type of sense, or that I have the faintest clue of why this is even possible. Presumably it's just one of Skyrim's bugs. I know, hard to imagine Bethesda making a mistake, but bear with me. It could be related to some weird hitbox management or something like that. Again, I don't really know. How a glitch like this even happens is a mystery in its own right. But hey, this is interesting. Halfway through at number 5, speaking of things that I don't fully understand, after the player has completed the Dark Brotherhood questline, if you chose to spare Cicero and have him as an active follower, the devious jester may say the following phrase while in your company.
Cicero is hungry. Need a sweet roll. Or a carrot.
Now, at first this quote doesn't seem very significant. I mean, sure, it's a weird thing to say, but hey, it's also Cicero we're talking about here, so no biggie. Well, the funny thing is, during the Dark Brotherhood quest, to kill an empire, where the player poses as a world-renowned chef, the Gourmet, in order to infiltrate the Emperor's personal kitchen and poison his food, while you and another chef are preparing a dish, that chef will ask you what ingredients you'd like to add, and your first options to choose from will be between a carrot or a sweet roll, the same items Cicero brings up. I'm not sure if this is just a coincidence, and after 47 episodes of this series, maybe I've gone a bit crazy and everything I see is Todd Howard messing with me. Or maybe there is a wider connection here. Whatever the case, definitely something to think about. 6th, during the climax of the Thieves Guild questline, as the player, Brynjolf, and Carlia are tracking down Mercer Frey in a dwarven ruin as a part of the mission Blindsided, while you're fighting your way through Falmer and ancient Dwemer mechanizations, the Dragonborn can stumble upon a small treasure room that's already been looted. The chest has already been emptied, and there's even a torch nearby. Well, hilariously written on the wall, backwards, will be the words, "One step ahead," signed Mercer, implying that the man you're currently hoping to hunt down has already beaten you to this dungeon's loot. Though, in hindsight, considering we are chasing after him, it's really not all that impressive. No matter, a spiteful, playful little detail by Bethesda. Next, while we're still on the topic of the Thieves Guild, the player's introduction to this cabal of crooks will come upon your first visit to the city of Riften, where in the town's marketplace, Brynjolf, while undercover, will approach the Dragonborn and offer you the chance to make some coin if you're willing to help him plant a stolen ring on a local merchant, in order to get that man arrested by guards, kickstarting the quest, A Chance Arrangement. It's fairly straightforward and simple. You break into a lockbox, steal a ring, and proceed to place it in the inventory of your target, while Brynjolf provides a distraction. Alas, something you may not have known is that during this quest, the developers, or gods, I guess take your pick, secretly provided the Dovahkiin with a bit of a boost to ensure that you don't mess up. While a chance arrangement is active in your quest journal, a hidden magical effect will become active upon the player, giving you a 30% increase in your chance to successfully pickpocket, helping to ensure that the person you're trying to plant the ring on never catches you. What's really cool though, is that if right after beginning this quest, you just walk out of Riften, the bonus will stay with you until the quest has been fulfilled. Meaning you can manipulate this ability to increase your odds of stealing from really any other character in the game. Of course, while the quest is active, Riften's marketplace will be in a perpetual state of listening to Brynjolf talk and unavailable to do business with you, but hey, that's a small price to pay for a very big bonus. Coming in at number 8. I'm not sure what you'd call this, as this fact isn't really hidden in the traditional sense that most of what we discuss in these videos are. However, it's still a cool little thing to know. There's a book the player can find radiantly in various homes and dungeons titled Alduin is Real, written by a character named Thrumgar Ironhead. And this book is a little bit, well, different than many of the others we'll find. The tale the book tells is simple enough in its own right. The Nord is simply trying to convince his fellow peers that Alduin the Dragon isn't just a legend, that he's real, and isn't Akatosh. Of course, the events we experience in the Elder Scrolls V proves that this man is very much correct. But the funny little quirk about this man's book is just how poor the grammar and syntax are. Bethesda purposely made this book seem to be written by someone with a first or second grade writing level. In fact, the first line in the entire work is, quote, "As my da used to say, Imperials are idiots. That is why I am writing this book. I ain't never wrote a book before." You can probably see where this is going. The great irony, of course, being that despite the fact the author of this book wasn't the best writer, he was correct. Alduin very much was real, and is a real threat. Indeed, while Thramgar Ironhead may not be the best at spelling, I doubt anyone's laughing at him anymore. Getting close to the end here at number 9, we have the interesting tale of the Mask of Clavicus Vial. This is a potential Daedric artifact you can receive as a reward for completing a Daedra's best friend, Clavicus Vial's Daedric quest. It's actually one of 2 potential rewards, the other being an axe you can take instead. Effectively, the mask increases your charisma, making prices 20% better across the board, and increasing your speech skill by 10 points. It also regenerates your magicka 5% faster for some reason. What's quite fascinating is that this object actually appears to have been inspired by something from the real world. It bears a striking resemblance to a horned helmet given to Henry VIII by the Holy Roman Emperor Maximilian I in 1514. The helmet wasn't designed for combat, but was instead meant to be worn during parades and specific events. Hilariously, it's unclear if Henry VIII ever wore this helmet at all, really. He might have just gotten it as a gift and then buried it away in his closet, never to be seen again, like I do with so many of the sweaters my aunt gets me. And, I mean, look at it, can you really blame him? After Henry VIII died, it's said the helmet was passed down to his court jester, though that's also a fact we're somewhat unsure about. Either way, it's cool to know that one of the game's most unique Daedric artifacts has its roots in our world. And finally, last on our list, we'll close this video up with a fact about one more magical item. Maroons Razor is a unique dagger that can be acquired if you choose to kill Silas Vesuvius during the quest, or I suppose after the quest, Pieces of the Past. Created by Maroons Dagon, Daedric Prince of Chaos and primary antagonist in the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, this dagger has a special enchantment that gives it a 2% chance to instantly kill opponents when used against them. While that doesn't seem like much, it can prove very useful if you get a little bit lucky when facing powerful bosses, such as the Ebony Warrior or Karstag. If an enemy disarms you and picks it up, it can also be used against yourself, so be a little bit careful of that. As a result of its incredible power, much like the shield Spellbreaker, it seems word of Maroons Razor has spread all across Skyrim, as when equipped, guards may comment on the dagger, saying the following line of dialogue.
Who'd you have to kill to get that blade?
And with that, we are going to wrap up yet another episode of 10 tiny details you may still have missed in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Our 47th installment, if memory serves me correctly. What a ride it has been. Which of today's details did you find to be the most impressive? And what Easter eggs, hidden secrets, and fun facts are still buried away in Skyrim that you know of, which I so far have yet to cover? Please leave a comment down below. A very special thanks to all these lovely Patreons appearing on screen now for helping me to afford food. As always, like ratings are very much appreciated, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everyone.